Hello YouTube, my name is rhianaB and welcome back to my Shadowhunter review reaction series, and this week we're going to be talking about Season 3, Episode 19, Aku Cinta Kamu, and hopefully I am pronouncing that correctly. Okay guys, I'm going to delve right into this. We've got a lot to cover. So first off, we have a part that I didn't expect to happen so early, and that was Magnus walking around snowy New York City, which I may make a couple comments about the snow in this episode, but so Magnus is walking around snowy New York City. He keeps having these quick flashes to Alec and their time together, and out of nowhere, here comes Asmodeus, which we did know was going to happen, but again, I really didn't think that this was going to transpire until later on in the episode. But here we are, we're only the first couple minutes in, and already Asmodeus is causing some problems. So obviously Magnus is taken aback that Asmodeus is in this realm, he's not in Edom, and is really taken aback when he all of a sudden gives Magnus his magic back. And you see that quick little glimpse of Magnus being really happy that he has his magic back. He's like looking at his hands, he's like, I have it back, you know, this thing I've wanted for quite some time now, it's back. But then all of a sudden he realizes there's got to be an ulterior motive here. Asmodeus must want something. Of course, what we know, and what Magnus cannot seem to figure out, no matter how hard he tries, is that Asmodeus has planned pretty much all of this from the get-go. Asmodeus had set up the whole notion in Alec's head that he would ruin Magnus and that he hasn't been helping him at all in this and that his magic is more important, and this leads to Alec breaking up with Magnus, and now Magnus really doesn't have many people to turn to, if anyone, and now Asmodeus is left because now he's the big savior who's given him back his magic. And I'm just like, I just feel like Magnus needs to just like be by himself and think about the past couple of incidents. Like, seriously, Magnus, you can't figure out that your father, who's one of the most manipulative people in this entire show, that he probably has done something to your relationship with Alec? Like, oh, it just drives me insane. But in the beginning, he does portal away from Asmodeus after he mentions how he wants to be more of a father to him and that whole bullshit. We all know it's bullshit. And slowly but surely it's gonna spiral a little bit downward, but I will get to that later in the episode. Now we start at the Institute with Jace, Izzy, Simon, and eventually Alec coming in and trying to come up with a plan as to get Clary back, because now officially Clary has moved on with Jonathan. They are hell knows where, and now they're going to be doing their own separate parts to try to get her back. And one little thing I wanted to touch on, and I am a little upset that we didn't get many of these scenes, but there is a little tiny moment where Izzy asks Alec if he's feeling okay, because she knows the whole situation between him and Magnus, but Alec just brushes it off as being, you know, I'm okay, don't worry about this, we've got a mission to do, da-da-da-da-da. And obviously Jace and Izzy are like, no, there's something wrong here. But they do have a mission to complete, because the Clave has now put back into place the death order that was on Jonathan, and also now they've included Clary in that since she let a very high-profile prisoner go, killed a Seelie in the Institute. You know, this stuff's starting to pile up a bit for Clary. And speaking of Clary, we find out that she has gone back with Jonathan to the old apartment building that we saw at the very beginning of Season 3, the one that Lilith used to stay in, and they are toasting to themselves, and now they're starting to devise a plan as to get the Morning Star, which is in the Seelie Queen's hands. So obviously, their mission's going to involve the Seelie Queen, and it's just like, it's weird to see. And I don't know, because Clary does a lot of back and forth in this episode. And there's one particular scene later on in the episode that I want to talk about, but she's doing a lot of back and forth where I think, no, this is good Clary, no, this is dark Clary. Like, it tends to, like, intermingle, and it goes back and forth a lot. And this is one of those cases, because in the middle of their planning, they get a fire message from Jace, and he explains in the fire message that his love for Clary is more important than the New York Institute and the Clave, so he's willing to come and join them on their mission for whatever it is that they want to do. Now, obviously, Jonathan is very suspicious because Jace has tried to kill him on multiple occasions. They're like bitter rivals fighting over Clary, although one of them is her brother, but that doesn't seem to bother anybody. But Clary does want Jace to be there. And this is why the back and forth between dark and good confuses me at some points, because she wants Jace to be there. She still loves Jace, so much, but yet this, and I don't know if it's because of the rune itself or if there's more to it than that, for her to feel this much of a love for her demon brother. And even one of the lines that kind of gave me a little bit of a cringe was when Jonathan is like, I love you more than anything in this world. And I understand that he hasn't had many people in his life to feel that type of a love toward, because he didn't have a relationship with Valentine, his father, who sent him to Edom, and his mother, Lilith, you know, didn't really do much as far as, like, a caring mother. Why would she? She's the queen of hell. So he hasn't experienced any real love. So I understand why he puts Clary on such a high pedestal, but at the same time, it's just like, it goes beyond the brother-sisterly thing. It just, ugh. Okay. On to more lighter note, we have our first Sizzy moment of the episode, and this episode was filled with Sizzy moments, which I absolutely loved. But the first one, they're both waiting for the serum to get mixed of the heavenly fire, and they start talking about the last episode where they almost kissed. And of course, right in the middle of that conversation, which was very brief to begin with, the serum is finished, Izzy pulls it out, and it's pure heavenly fire extract. But I guess it overreacts to something, I don't know what, but it combusts from this little vial into what looks like a block of gold. And now they're like, you know, how are we going to use this to, you know, help Clary and kill Jonathan and all that sort of stuff. Even Simon is like, how do we inject Jonathan with a rock, which I thought was really funny. And they bring up the idea of having Luke's sister Cleophas, who was a former Iron Sister, to see if she can help with creating a possible weapon out of this new rock form of heavenly fire. And now we move on to our first clip of the night, and that is, oh my god. I have to say, when I first watched this, I broke down crying just like that. Like, literally, I just bursted into tears the minute the clip was over when they first released it, and it's just still so emotional to watch, but I'm gonna try to pull through it again, so let's go ahead and play that clip.
Where are we going?
My boys.
I told you it's a surprise.
My boys.
I don't like surprises. What do you mean? You're the king of them. Now you start waving your hands around, I never know what's going to show up in front of me. So, there's something I wanted to do. Oh, you want to lock me up? Like you never asked.
How did they get away with getting that line in there? How did they do that? I want to know.
Paris last week, the one where people put those locks.
Show their eternal love.
Right. Well, they have a place like that here in New York, too.
I mean, this is so romantic. I love that Alec came up with this idea.
I know it's silly. I wanted us to have a lock, too.
Oh, that smile. And there it is.
Cinta Kamu. Vision for I love you.
I'm getting emotional again. I'm not saying much, I apologize, but... Don't you dare! Agnes! Oh, no. Oh, Magnus! Oh! Oh, I'm crying again, god damn it! I mean, that scene was just so precious. I mean, it's sad, given what happened in the latter half of that scene, which was, you know, Magnus taking off the lock and just basically disintegrating it into dust. And I mean, I had a feeling he would do that just because it is a reminder of his relationship with Alec, and it's just, but I really didn't want him to do it. I wanted him to be like, just leave it there, it's a memory. But again, this episode has is really dealing with Magnus's memories quite a bit and how much I think it's like a good sign to show how much Magnus's memories have hurt him in the past. We've seen it briefly throughout the whole show, but I think this is the first time really seeing a certain type of a memory, or any memory in general, how much it really does affect Magnus, which I think is a great insight for him, but it still doesn't make it any less painful. So, yeah, it was really heartbreaking to watch. And now we move on to a quick little moment at the Jade Wolf where Maya and Jordan are trying to patch up the place after the massacre of the pack. And they have a cute little talk about paints and everything like that, which was really, really adorable. And then they share a kiss. Their first kiss in quite some time, if I really recall. And I think, again, the case of Jordan, I think, wants more from the relationship than Maya does. But I think Maya is in a completely different mindset compared to Jordan. She just lost her entire pack. She lost her boyfriend, her second boyfriend. She's going through a lot. Not to say that Jordan isn't either. I mean, he got stabbed with silver, and that's a lot more painful since he's a werewolf. And it's just, they're both going through their struggles, but I think that Maya is in a different mindset for her to really think about having a relationship again with him. There's still the chemistry there, obviously, but the thing is, will it progress, or will they just stay friends? So that's a kind of an open question, but then they get interrupted during their conversation when Raphael shows up in a way to kind of atone for his part, well, not really even his part with the whole massacre, because that technically wasn't him, that was Heidi, but, you know, Raphael was very big in the Heidi storyline, so he feels a sense of responsibility, so he's there to try to fix things. And of course, Maya and Jordan are like, wait, you're a vampire, you're standing in the sun, what happened? And then he divulges the whole thing about him turning human because of heavenly fire and all that sort of stuff. And it opens the door for both Jordan and Maya to be like, Raphael's human, he seems very happy. And if we have the consent, if we want to do this, maybe we should give it a try. But sadly, there's only one vial left at the Institute. So, is it gonna happen? I mean, really, who knows? And now we move on to our next clip, and this is between Alec and Jace. So let's go ahead and watch that clip.
Unarmed, I don't like it.
It's the only way to save Clary.
Jonathan smells a rat. You're a dead man.
I know. Listen, he won't.
I mean, he's already
We're
gonna be
have
suspicious.
real-time intel on their exact location the second Isabella is done with Glorious. We catch them off guard, separate Jonathan and Clary, and then we kill him once and for all.
I mean, it is a good plan, but it's got a lot of risk to it, and I don't know if they're willing to take it.
In order for these rings to work...
Sealy rings are back, and they're probably gonna cause problems again.
Do you think I'm gonna fall asleep?
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah. Hey, look, I know you said that the timing wasn't right with Magnus the other day, but...
Oh, no. And you can even see it in Alec's face. He just, oh.
It's complicated.
Is that why he's not here? Look, I can feel that there's something wrong.
I'm shocked he didn't bring up with him sooner.
Magnus and I broke up.
What?
That little subtle eyebrow lift and the eyes widening on Jace, oh, it was
Something
so
you're
good.
not telling me.
Good on you, Dom.
What's going on?
Sometimes life just doesn't go the way you want it to.
Alec's voice breaking. Ah!
Just go.
Okay, there's the thing I mentioned earlier about having more scenes like this with Alec. I really wanted there to be a tiny bit of a moment where, I don't know, Alec maybe wanted to try to call Magnus and see how he was doing, send him a text. I mean, do something. And I know that he's head of the Institute, and he has to be focused on the mission with Clary and Jonathan. I know that. But he just lost the love of his life. A person he cares about more than anything else in this world. I would want to think that he would try to, like, contact him in some way or just see if he got his magic back. It's just, I wanted there to be more of a moment with Alec really showing his struggle with the whole breakup situation, because we're seeing a lot of it from Magnus's point of view, as well we should, but I wanted to see it from Alec's too, especially since with Alec, he has more of a guilt added on to the whole incident. And that in itself can be just as devastating and heartbreaking, and I just wanted that moment so badly. There was a tiny little glimpse of that in that after this little clip where the minute Jace left the room, he kind of like rolled his neck around a little bit and like did a deep sigh. That was the only little hint we got. And I can only hope the reason why we didn't get the scenes like that in this episode is that maybe we'll get it in next episode. And I really hope so, because this shouldn't be a one-sided portrayal of this breakup. It should be with both of them, because they're both suffering a lot here, or we would assume so because we're not seeing it from Alec's point of view here. And now we're gonna go straight into our last clip of the episode, and that is with Simon, Izzy, and Luke.
I got her as soon as I could.
Where's Cleophas?
Not gonna make it. After she helped Clary summon Ethereal, when he died, I guess part of her died too.
So now it's
She's gone through a lot.
And these.
She definitely went through a lot in this show.
Cleophas's tools.
With them, she said you could forge a new sword with the same power as Glorious.
Phyllis said that stabbing Jonathan with Glorious would sever the ties between him and Clary.
To reforge Glorious, she said you need to mix the alloys that you extracted with molten atoms and an angelic binding agent.
That's a lot of big words.
Binding agent.
We're gonna need Jace for that. It's angel blood, and he's got ethereals.
Jace just left on mission to find Clary and Jonathan.
Guess we're gonna have to call in our pinch hitter.
That's right. You drank Jace's blood and became a delighter, which means you still have traces of Ethereal's blood in your system.
She just seems so excited, like a little...
Will this involve a needle?
I loved how, like, their personalities are kind of light in this episode a little bit. Like, Izzy looks so excited to, like, I think it's like a part of her that really wants to, like, make this sword and, like, find the mystery of heavenly fire and things like that. I just think that's really cute of her to be so excited. And I love that little bit with Simon, who is a vampire, who's a daylighter, who's shown a lot of strength, especially in this latter half of this season. And all of a sudden he's just scared of needles. I just think that's such a great contrast, and it's so funny. I just thought that was a really cute scene between the two of them again. But let's go ahead and move on back to Jace, who has been portaled to Prague, because that was where Jonathan and Clary planned to go. And of course, Jace meets them there. Clary, I have to say, looks so badass. And she's being so authoritative, which I love. And I don't know, I like seeing Clary, or any character in general really, who like stand up for themselves regardless of the context of the situation. Like, I love characters who like stand up for what they want, for what they believe in, that sort of a thing. And even though she's Dark Clary in the moment, I just love seeing her like talk to Jonathan, like ruling this whole situation and talking to Jace, and not, you know, showing the, you know, the fluffy girlfriend type of a portrayal, but it's like strong woman. I love that so much. So basically, Jace convinces them that he's on their side. Clary takes him in, and lo and behold, Team Evil is now born. So we're going to be getting a lot of Team Evil moments later in the episode, but now we've got another flashback. We just saw one, and now we get this one. And it's when Magnus is walking down again in snowy New York. There's a lot of random clips of just snow falling. I don't know if they filmed a lot of these episode clips in the same day or the same couple of days, because there's a couple of scenes where I kept seeing snow fall, and I'm like, Mother Nature's not really helping with continuity here. So I don't know if anybody else noticed that. I did. I think that may be because of my production training and learning and all that sort of stuff in school. So anyway, he sees this mother and daughter on a bench, and this immediately flashes back to when Alec himself and Madsy were walking around, I guess around New York, and she gets an ice cream cone and all that sort of stuff, and oh, they're just so cute. Like, the three of them together, they're just so adorable. They're so adorable. We haven't had that many scenes with them, not really. Oh, it's just a cute little thing. And also I have to say, Magnus wearing, and I couldn't tell because they kind of saturated the clip a little bit with the coloring, but Magnus in white or khaki pants, like, I'm just so used to him being like a lot darker colored clothing. Like, he tends to dress very like seductive and very dark and mysterious, that type of a thing. So thought it was really interesting that he was wearing white or khaki pants. So, but anyway, Alec brings up Magnus being a good dad. Like, one day he would be a great dad. And at first Magnus is like, like, really, you think that? And then it kind of leads into this whole conversation about their own fathers and how even though they come from kind of bad parenting to some degree or messed up childhoods, that they're able to live their lives and still have love and respect and still be loving and caring to other people. And oh my god, the one line where Alec is like, when it comes to having a family, you won't be doing it alone. And it's just, the foreshadowing of them possibly adopting kids, because they have kids in the books. They have kids in the books. And I want that so badly to happen in the show. And I would hope that if we get picked up, and had the show not been canceled in this moment, that maybe they would have explored the idea of them actually adopting children, which, oh my god, that would have been so amazing, and I want it to happen so badly. We either need a continuation of this show, or we need a spin-off with just Malec. Either way, I will be a happy girl. Now we're back to Team Evil, who are now back at the apartment, and of course there's the big butt between Jace and Jonathan and that sort of a thing, like them being very possessive over Clary. And Clary, again with her like authoritative badass self, decides to go to this club that they're gonna go to, and in a very cool sexy looking red dress with a little holster on her upper thigh. And she looks pretty good. And which is, again, a moment that creeped me out was when Jonathan looks at Clary with, like, this really, like, wow, I'm being turned on, where Jace is like, yeah, this is my girlfriend. What? He was kind of more nonchalant about it, but granted, they have had sex, so I'm not going to go any further than that. But it is revealed in that moment that their plan is to go to this club in Prague, and that they're going to kidnap the Seelie Queen and try to bargain her for the Morningstar Sword. Now already this plan does not sound like it's gonna work, especially in the theme of this show, but hey, it'll make interesting television. Okay, now we're moving on to one of my favorite moments of the entire episode, and that is with Sizzy, yet again, and they're in the hospital section where Izzy's gonna extract some of the blood, and he's freaking out over how big the needle is, and then all of a sudden Izzy just starts talking about Superman, and like, she knows Superman, she knows Lois Lane, she knows Clark Kent, the rotation of the earth, and all that sort of a thing. And Simon, like all of us, are completely shocked because she knows Superman, and it turns out that she knows about it because Simon talks about like Star Wars and superhero movies so much that she actually went to see them, and oh my god, it was so precious. It was so precious. And then, Simon goes on talking about, how, Lois Lane never realized Clark Kent was Superman because maybe she just didn't see him for who he really was, and like the sexy girl going out with the nerd type of a thing. And you can see it on Izzy's face. She realizes that I like him. Like, I like Simon more than just a friend. Like, there's a connection there. Oh my god, it was so cute, and I loved it so much. And I like that we're having these like lighthearted moments, because this episode has been a lot of tension and a lot of drama, a lot of angst. So it was kind of nice having those uplifting moments, because it helped break the tension right away. And that scene, oh my god, it was so adorable. I loved it so much. Anyway, enough with Sizzy, sadly. We're going back to Team Evil. They arrive at what is called the Bone Chandelier, which is a big thing in the books from what I've heard. Now, if any of you are book readers, maybe you can elaborate more on it. I don't know much about the Bone Chandelier and its significance in the books, but they're there in this episode. And I love that Jonathan's playing a total third wheel. He basically is like right just behind Jace and Clary when they're about to start kissing and that sort of a thing. So he decides to go and talk to one of the bouncers to see if they can get in, because this is a downworlder club, which means Shadowhunters are frowned upon from entering. And Jace takes this opportunity to beg Clary to come back with him and to like leave Jonathan behind. And again, this is the moment that I mentioned earlier about Clary going back and forth between good and dark. In that moment, I think I can see it, that I can see good Clary. Like, you can see it in the way she's talking and in her face. She is good Clary in that moment. And they kiss, and you think maybe there's a tiny little glimpse and maybe she'll say no. But then all of a sudden she goes right back to dark, and she's like, let me go join my brother and see what's going on. I have to give a big hand to Kat McNamara, because she played that so well. Like, I'm just having a hard time distinguishing like how much of Clary is good and how much of it is dark. And I don't know if we'll get any further with any of those answers, because the end is right upon us here. And I just don't know. There's a lot of unanswered questions still. And it's only the beginning, but yet we're getting so close to the end that I don't know how much of this is going to be resolved. So after Claire leaves to join Jonathan, Jace ends up relaying to Alec through the Seelie ring the plan about the kidnapping of the Seelie Queen, where they are, and that sort of a thing. And basically, Alec tells Jace to be careful. And he's going to need to be. And now we get another, like, heartbreaking moment with Magnus. Again, this whole entire episode is just basically him wandering around New York. He's just wandering around, and all of a sudden, it's not just a specific flashback. It is a compilation of all of their moments together. We start from when they first held hands, like, I forgot what episode it was. It was sometime in season 1 when they were doing the circle to summon the memory demon for Clary. When they first touched hands, their first kiss at the wedding, which, and then the moment where, Alec said that his warlock mark, his eyes were beautiful, and just a quick little flash of all of these moments intercut with Magnus sadly walking through New York. And it's just so heartbreaking to see him this sad, thinking about this person who's really broken him. And again, it's just a moment I want him to realize the truth about how this whole situation happened. But Magnus doesn't. He ends up going to brother Zachary, who we met in season 2, I believe. And he's back, and Magnus basically begs Zachary to erase his memories of Alec. And because he's so taken aback by this, because brother Zachary is a silent brother, so he doesn't speak. He communicates telepathically. This is the moment where he actually talks. And Magnus is very taken aback by this. And he basically says that there's some words that need to be spoken aloud. And he's telling Magnus, kind of playing devil's advocate, and saying, I will not do this for you. I will not take away your memories of Alec, because these memories can be important to you. I know. I've lived through as much as you have. And if you want to have these memories gone, you have to do it yourself. You just don't have the heart. And it's just like, he's basically saying that if you want to take this into your own hands, that's fine. But I'm telling you that you are going to possibly regret this if you decide to do this. And because even Magnus himself said that Alec was different and that this really hurt him compared to all of his past relationships. And it's just, part of me just wanted to be like, brother Zachary, just tell him to don't mess with the memories, keep them there, all that sort of stuff. But no, he basically plays devil's advocate and is like, you either do it yourself, get rid of them, or you live with them. And it's just like, I went with a back and forth being like, you're with the fandom, you're not with the Malec fandom. It just kind of made me like, not entirely happy. So we have another quick little cut of Maya and Jordan going to the Institute and asking for the serum if there was a possibility that they could have it. And Izzy basically said, no, it's a political minefield to determine who's going to get the serum, if anybody at all. And then luckily Simon is there to kind of talk, supporting both Izzy and Maya in a way, because he says that, no one should get the serum, it's very complicated, the whole situation, And then he also says, I know the feeling of what it's like to having a downworlder lifestyle and how much it has ruined my life. He brought up his sister, brought up his mom. There's other underlining things with that as well. But Simon knows better than anybody how hard it is to be a downworlder. And I think because of that, Maya is kind of like, I can't take this on for myself. So even though she's upset, she ends up walking away. And I just thought that was a really nice moment for for strong Simon to come back for a little bit there. And now we're back with Team Evil. They have made it to the Bone Chandelier with all the Seelies and other downworlders partying all around them. Very much like I wouldn't say rave, but it's kind of like, I guess, a downworlder rave, I guess. I don't know. And while they're there, they all end up taking a drop of this Seelie club drug. I don't know if if it has a specific name. They don't say it in the show. But they all take it, and much against Jace's dismay, he has to do it because he's right in front of Jonathan, and if he doesn't take it, it kind of shows that he's not with them. But the thing is, Jace didn't come to this whole situation with any weaponry, didn't have his stele, so he can't, do an Arazzi on him to kind of get rid of the fogginess, because now he can't focus very well because the drug is taking its effect, and he's trying to communicate with Alec, but he's having a hard time. Alec is telling him to hold on. They're trying to get there as soon as they can. And this is kind of where it goes a little crazy, a little downhill, and a little sexy, because Clary ends up pulling Jace onto the dance floor, and because they're both like on this drug high, they both start dancing seductively, and at one point I actually did think that Clary was gonna go down on Jace in the middle of the dance floor, because she starts going down, like physically going down, and I'm like, oh my god, is Freeform taking it there? Did the writers take it there? But no, the furthest I got was them having a very hot and very heavy makeout session that I was very shocked to watch. I bet Clace fans were loving that, and the sad part is, though, because Jace is so focused on Clary and another part of his anatomy, he doesn't realize that the Sealy ring that was on his finger is now exposed, and Jonathan is carefully watching the two of them, kind of awkward there, but he sees the ring and he knows Jace has been undercover this entire time. Now, before we get into the aftermath of that whole situation, we have another little cut of Jordan and Maya. They come back to the Jade Wolf, and again, Maya makes the comment of, I shouldn't be the one person to deserve this serum. Who says I'm the one who has the hardest time being a downworlder? And she leaves quickly. And then Jordan is just left by himself. Turns out he stole the serum. He stole that serum. I don't know how he did it, but he did steal it. So now the question is, what's he gonna do with it? Is he gonna use it on himself to make Maya happy? Is he gonna give it to Maya so she can maybe have a new life? Who knows? But we're gonna have to wait and see, and we might find out next episode too. Do it? Alec just being so stoic. Ooh. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, that's definitely it. Whoa. Oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool. So anyway, we are back to the Bone Chandelier. The Sealy Queen has arrived, plan is in action, and now that they've Iratzi'd themselves to take them away from the drug effects, now it is time for their plan to go into action. So they start approaching the Sealy Queen, who's about to leave to go meet her warlock lover. Clary hands Jace a surf blade, but Jonathan's already one step ahead, and he talks to one of the Sealy guards, and they all start swarming around Jace. Now, obviously, Clary's taken aback, and she's like, why are they surrounding Jace? What's going on here? And then Jonathan's like, I knew it. He betrayed us. He's not with us. Clary doesn't want to believe this, but now she has a choice to make. Is she going to stay with Jonathan, or is she going to go with Jace? And our answer? She kind of does both, because in the middle of that, she joins Jace, and we have a Clace, power couple fight moment when they're defending themselves against all of these Sealies, which was pretty badass to watch. There we go, Clary. Yes! Boyfriend-girlfriend duo, hello! Oh, whoa, that was pretty cool. And once that's done, Jonathan takes that distraction as a way to go ahead and kidnap the Sealy Queen. She bites him. I don't know if that does anything to him, but they have her, and now Claire's got to make a choice. Although, really, we don't see it in the moment. I think she already knew what she was going to do, but she ends up saying to Jace, this is who I am, and if you interfere with me and my brother, I will end you. And that's why I was like, well, she helped him to defend himself from all these Sealies. Why all of a sudden she's saying she's possibly going to end him? It's like, again, that whole back and forth dichotomy is just really messing with my head. But she ends up using her portal rune, sends him back to New York to the Institute, and now Jace is going to be a lot more deterred, but I think all the more determined to go and get Clary back. But now Jonathan and Clary have Sealy Queen. Don't know how that's going to transpire, so we've got a lot to cover in next episode, but we have a great start for what could be a really powerful finish here. And then to end the episode, again, broke my heart. Magnus is now on top of a roof somewhere, and he is now extracted all of his memories of Alec, and they're just like floating all around him. And we see all their moments from the show that we have seen together, and he's just staring, and now he's come to the determination. He's going to erase these memories. He can do it. He's gonna do it. And he's just about to, send the memories away. And all of a sudden, Asmodeus stops him. I was so taken aback that Asmodeus was the one who ended up stopping Magnus, because I would figure that Asmodeus would want his son in as much pain as possible, because that's what he did when we first met him, when he took his magic away. He's a prince of hell. He lives off pain. He lives off suffering. So why would he not do this? But then he goes and says that pain is the path to enlightenment. And of course he would say that, being he is a prince of hell. But he says to him, let these memories fester. Let them be with you. Let them teach you about hurt and all those other things. And at the end of the day, it does work. And that's a weird thing to say. Asmodeus did something that the fandom wanted, which was for Magnus to keep his memories of Alec. But, oh God, it broke my heart when he was like crying, watching all these memories around him, and they seep back into his brain. Oh, and then they go for that hug. Asmodeus goes in for a hug, and Magnus hugs him back. Like, you see him like gripping the back of his jacket, and I'm just like, no, Magnus, you do not hug your Prince of Hell father who broke up your loving relationship just in an attempt to get you back. Oh God, it's just, I was not happy. I'm scared. I don't know what's gonna happen now, because also now we have two characters who have gone to the dark side. We've had Clary, and now we have Magnus. Everyone's going to the dark side. Part of me left and part of me is like, this is not how this should be. Okay, so anyway, I think that's it for this episode. We had a lot happen. Not the episode I expected it to be. A lot of back and forths that are testing my brain. And sadly, we only have one more episode left until the series finale. And again, hopefully this isn't the end of Shadowhunters. Hopefully we get more amazing content once the show's over. Somebody pick up the show. It is fantastic. But on that note, to not make it seem too bitter, I'm going to end this video here. So if you guys liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me comments down below. What did you think of this episode? Any theories or predictions for the end of the show? Let me know, because I would love to read those comments. And if you want to see my future videos or videos I've already done, go ahead, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when my videos come out. That's all I have for you guys today, and until the next video, bye! Mwah.